Saul. You stole power from the gods and lied to your sons. Mankind has only one chance to prosper. If you will not seize it, then I will!
I was robbed of the taste buds of both herbivore and carnivore. No matter how much flavor I add, no matter when or what I eat, everything turns to ash in my mouth.
Carnivores are all monsters, every one of you!
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Hey guys, Aaron Scarba here. Today in this video we're going to be talking about villains in media. I've posted a few short videos on different villains in media, and I plan to make more, but I just want to make a quick kind of summary on why I chose to make it, and why I think it's important that we understand different villains and their backstories, and of course how that kind of ties into storytelling. So I have a couple villains here that I've kind of chosen. So we got Melon, Riz, the Joker, and Horus from Warhammer. A variety of different villains. Of course, two of them are from the same thing, essentially, but kind of slightly different in all their different stories, their backstories. When it comes to the Joker, and actually I did not know this because I'm not like biggest DC fan, but I thought it would be important to kind of put the Joker in there because he's a very big villain that a lot of people recognize. With the Joker, big villain, but a lot of people don't actually know his backstory. The Joker, basically, is either portrayed as a struggling comedian or a thief or something like that. Of course, he goes on a job one day. Of course, everything goes south, and they're at a chemical plant, and of course, he either falls or jumps in to the chemical vat while trying to escape Batman. Basically, once he emerges, his body has been malformed and stuff like that. He's just pure white. Basically, he bases his entire personality now around what he has essentially become. Everything's a joke, basically, at this point, at least for the Joker. And of course, with Melon was basically an outcast by society. Of course, not only is he a predator, which prey animals would be terrified of, but also predators didn't trust him because he was also part prey. So it was just really different and awkward for them. Of course, because of that discrimination, it formed him into the person he later would become in the series. Then we got Riz. Riz's backstory, there's not a whole lot to it as far as I know. At least in regards to, how Melon and the Joker, you kind of get to look more deeper into their backstories. Mainly, I'm basing this off of the anime, because I have not finished reading the actual manga yet. Point being, Riz makes really good friends. Some might say they're even closer than friends with Tim. Eventually, he gets so comfortable around Tim because he has to take these pills that will basically prevent him from, I guess, potentially hurting someone, which is already really hard to do in that universe. As a carnivore, it could just happen by accident, but especially with a bigger animal like a bear, taking strength restrainer pills. And eventually he tells them that I've stopped taking them, I feel more comfortable and safe around you. Of course, this freaks Tim out. That wasn't the reaction Riz was hoping for. So basically, Riz panics, accidentally tearing Tim's arm. Of course, he chases him down, ends up eating him, and then convinces himself that he didn't, do it, or wasn't, a terrible, horrible thing as it actually was. He convinced himself that it was an act of friendship, or the only way a carnivore could become close to an herbivore, all that. And then, of course, we got Horus. Horus is kind of a different story. At least he's not a villain in the traditional sense to a certain extent, because all these characters kind of believe they're right in their own mind. So with Horus, once again, you kind of show why he thinks this way and why he became who he was. Because during the Great Crusade, the crusade essentially to unite all of humanity, he basically gets tempted while he's on another planet by the Chaos Gods. Instead of them targeting, the Emperor or something like that, they target his closest son, because they knew that would heavily affect and possibly even destroy the Imperium of Man. So basically, Horus is injured, he's being tempted, and he gets convinced that the Emperor actually is going to betray them, and that he's trying to ascend to godhood and all that, even though he's already very close to being a god. But basically, point being is, from his perspective, he truly believes that the Imperium is wrong and evil, and it must be destroyed for the sake of humanity. And that's kind of where all these characters are, is they believe their positions. Riz believes that he killed Tim in an act of passion because he could not accept what he had done. The Joker was more forced to take on his identity, at least to some extent, because he was now deformed, and already he was in crime already to begin with. It just kind of made it a little easier for him to become the Joker, but because of his transformation, that pushed him even further into that Joker identity, and it's all kind of a part of the joke, essentially. Then with Melon, the only thing that really brings him satisfaction is the suffering of others, just the way he suffered, and probably to some extent he thinks that what he's doing is justified as well, because everyone else in society made him suffer. That was basically a large majority of his life, including even possibly his mother even abusing him. But the point is, all these different characters truly believe what they're doing is justified in one way or another, which I think is very interesting. This is really just going to be a short video, just kind of going over it a little bit. But I think it's very important to understand villains. Like, another honestly just quick example is Anakin. Anakin Skywalker, from Star Wars, was tempted by not only just the dark side, but also the Emperor, who he became really good friends with, which the Emperor realized that making friends with Anakin was a great strategy in his grand plan to essentially take over the galaxy. But basically, the Emperor tempted Anakin and convinced him that the only way to save Padme and save all the people he loved, because he would end up losing his mother, and he already grew up in slavery, but the only way to save them was to basically use the dark side of the Force, or evil, essentially. At least from the Jedi's perspective. Yeah, kind of all very similar ideas. They all truly believe this is the way things have to be done, and this is justified. Anakin believes that he needs to use the dark side of the Force to save Padme. Yeah, it's just very interesting, because you need to truly be able to understand why or where a villain comes from, I think, to even somewhat relate to them. Even if you don't agree with them or their viewpoints, you can understand why they became who they are. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video. I just wanted to go over a little bit of some of the reasoning why I made these shorts. I'm also hoping to make shorts about heroes and stuff like that as well, because I want to dive more into film theory and stuff like that, and character development and all that. But yeah, just a very short video, quick, simple, easy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.